This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today, to start turning your dreams into a reality.
How many of you meditate at least once a year? Okay, once a month? Okay, you can keep, that's good, that's good. We'll just leave it right there, you know. We're grateful for anything we can get. No, that's good. Okay, so this is about you in a lot of ways. People who do some kind of meditative practice sort of routinely, pretty much of the time, you know, 10, 20, 30 minutes a day, 45 on a good day. In other words, people like me, real world, okay, they actually have measurably thicker brains in certain key regions. So the number one region up here is called the insula. It's a part of the brain, and again, there are two of them, that is involved in what's called interoception, tuning into the internal state of your body, and as well as your deep feelings. No wonder they're tuning into themselves. Probably a lot of what they're doing is practicing mindfulness of breathing. They're getting in touch. They're staying really present with what's going on. No wonder they're using, and therefore they're building, much like a muscle by analogy, literally. They're using it so they build it, the insula. Second, the second region is the frontal regions of the prefrontal cortex, the frontal areas that are involved, again, in controlling attention. No surprise here as well. They're using attention, so they're getting more control over it, and they're strengthening its neural basis. The third region up at the top is somatosensory cortex. It's a part that basically they're tuning into their body. It's less relevant for our purposes. The point is that people who routinely practice something, in this particular case, mindfulness meditation, build up the neural substrates that are its basis. Normally we lose about 10,000 brain cells a day. That may sound horrible, but we were born with 1.1 trillion. And we also have several thousand a day born inside mainly the hippocampus, actually, and in what's called neurogenesis. So losing 10,000 a day isn't that big a deal, but the net bottom line is that a typical 80-year-old will have lost about 4% of brain mass. It's called cortical thinning with aging. It's a normal process. So in this study, there was a comparison between the meditators and the non-meditators. The meditators are the blue circles. The non-meditators are the red squares, age, matched, and so forth. This was not a longitudinal study. It was a cohort study with some good statistical controls. The people who are the red squares, the controls, experienced normal cortical thinning in these three regions of interest. Whereas the people who routinely meditated and worked that muscle, quote unquote, did not experience cortical thinning in that region. They're the blue circles with the line straight across. That has a lot of implications for an aging population. I had a birthday yesterday, and so, it's on my mind, and there's always a little more gray hair every year in the mirror. So anyway, use it or lose it, right? It applies to the brain as well as to other aspects of life. That takes us to a really important point, that for me is a major takeaway in this territory, that our experience really matters. It doesn't just matter moment to moment in terms of, subjective well-being, as Bob was saying earlier, how it feels to be me, but it also really matters in the lasting residues that it leaves behind, woven into our very being.
you made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end? Gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So, I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. Just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, you matter and you're enough.
Love is the main reason for how all this happened. Love for all my fans, love for all the shows. Got love for all my memories, no matter where I go. Even if I'm out to nothing, I know there's always something. It's not a fitness test, but it'll always